Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Launch Lab, the official podcast for the Skill Up project. For those of you that listen us for the first time or don't know who I am Konstantinos Georgiou. I'm the project manager of Skill Up, and today I'm really glad to have with me Dionisis Kapetanos, who is a project manager at ViLabs. Hello, Dionisis.
Hello, Konstantinos. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you for being here with me. It's my pleasure. So, can you tell us a bit more about ViLabs? What exactly do they do?
So, ViLabs is a private business hub based in Greece and Cyprus. What we mostly do is offering research and development services to enterprises. And here in Skill Lab, our main role, let's say, we're responsible for bringing the public bodies into a piloting for skills anticipation. We aim to emerge. No, we aim to for merging occupations and to identify the skills and market demands in order to have final at the end of the project a platform useful for public bodies, decision makers, and to find a way to have and bring the skills anticipation towards decision making.
Mm-hmm. So ViLabs is our third pilot, and funny thing, we always refer to you as the policymaking pilot. So because I think that's the main function of ViLabs,
Exactly.
you have entered policymaking. So let me dive into the first question. What do we mean when we talk about policymaking in the European Union, since that's the focus of Skill Up?
Okay, that's a very good question to set the ground actually, and starting with a definition of the policy making of EU, which is described in an organized process. It's not it's not a law that EU forces the states to follow, but what actually European Union does is to set the ground, provide the guidelines and the tools. So they develop the context, and then projects like SkillUp are the tools that are going to bring some changes and tackling synchronous challenges.
Mm-hmm. So we can say that the policy is like a suggestion, a
Exactly.
nudge in the right direction.
Exactly,
let's say.
yes. And then the states decide based on their needs how they will get aligned with these directions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And okay, so let's talk about let's bring into the fold the main focus of Skill Up, which is skills, as the name suggests. So why have skills and especially upskilling, which is developing your skills, and reskilling, adapting your skills, why have they become so central to the EU policymaking?
Okay. Well, it is well known that digital transition and the use of AI create new jobs that changes existing ones and in a very fast pace. So it is very important for the employees to get adapted to these changes and proceeding with either reskilling or upskilling. We can discuss these differences later on to have their companies more productive. And besides that, it's very important for the European Union because nowadays we have this paradox where there are many jobs that are unfilled, while at the same time there are unemployed people who do not have the skills to fit into these jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
So here is where Skill Up comes and tries to close this gap, this mismatch of the skills.
Yeah, the skills gap, as we call it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's we can say that particularly the European Union gives large focus in skills. We had the year of skills, which was 2014. So it's not necessarily only about young people, but for everyone to learn the new skills, the workers, the unemployed ones, the citizens, the educators. This is what we try to do in Skill Lab.
The ones that are already working in a specific field and they want to shift in another sector.
Yeah,
So they have
exactly.
to new and train themselves with new skills to get adapted in the new role.
And do the leap.
Exactly.
Okay. And we have talked about the skills gap in other episodes, of course, and we have talked about it in many, many meetings for the project. But I would like to deliver to the audience what does a skill mismatch look like practically, and why should the European policymaker care about the skills mismatch?
Okay, yes. I was referring to this skill match before, so it's an opportunity to clarify it. When we say about the mismatch of skills, it's actually uh, when we see and observe what employees can do, but does not match what employers need.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we have this paradox here where uh, it doesn't matter how skilled uh, is someone is, but if it doesn't fit in the specific job, then they are useless for the company,
Mm-hmm,
you know.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you have to find another way, either to proceed with the reskilling to match this job, or you have to find another job.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, transition in jobs. And also, our research work has shown that skills become obsolete in time.
Yeah.
So some skills age, some skills may be less relevant as time goes on. For example, digital skills play a larger role today, but few people actually learn digital skills, which is a problem, and it creates the shortages that you mentioned. And my next question is going into a more social side. So I'm not saying that skill shortages are crippling from for Europe, but they do impact. They can and do impact competitiveness, productivity, the capacity for innovation. My question is, to what extent? What's the degree of this impact?
It's actually very important
Yeah. Okay.
because this skill shortages that we discuss right now is not just a labor market problem. It is more an overall growth impactful for and potential for the European Union to become more competitive. Because when skilled workers are lacking, many firms are forced to delay their investment or to reduce their production. So that will potentially lead and they will reduce their productivity and at the end of the year and the next years. At the innovation level, again, is very important because in the innovation field, the skills someone should have are very specific
Yeah.
to
Sure.
bring something innovative into the market. And if Europe uh, uh, is lacking with these people high skilled in this field, then it will find it very difficult to compete its main competitors like US and Asia.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Not only in bringing new technological products, but in the production of new knowledge.
New knowledge. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
true. Do you think that this shortage in skill translates into governmental positions as well? Do you think that um, maybe some upskilling is required to reduce bureaucracy and procedures in governance?
Yes, yes. I got your point. Yes,
Yeah.
I was prepared for this question
Yeah.
because it brings us right now at the policy level.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, so it doesn't only it's not only necessary for the European Union to set the guidelines and leave you to improvise, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's they to
Mm-hmm.
improvise
Mm-hmm.
how they will proceed. All governmental bodies, policymakers, employers all should go in one line, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
to
Exactly.
proceed.
Have a common direction.
Exactly.
So I mentioned before that there are two different terms for acquiring new skills, which is upskilling and reskilling. So what's the practical difference between them, and why do they? I mean, do they both matter in Europe in the future of the European labor market? And if so, why? Why? What's
Yeah.
the reason?
Okay, that's a good question because many people often are getting confused with these terms, but
They
they're
use
not
them interchangeably sometimes.
exactly, but are
Mm-hmm.
not exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we're talking about upskilling, it means that helping people gain new skills so they can perform the current job more effectively.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you can do the same work, but in a less time,
Yeah,
you know?
efficiently.
Exactly, yes, with a higher quality at
Mm-hmm.
the end.
Yes, of course, always.
While reskilling, on the other hand, helps employees learn different skills so they can move into a new role in their existing sector, or they will get the necessary skills to jump into a new sector.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
And
see.
someone can do it if someone observes or read the reports that are coming annually.
I do.
You do. Okay.
Yeah.
You will see and you will identify the emerging occupations in which sector you should focus on the next years. And if you are smart enough, you will do it in advance and start reskilling yourself or trying to find the proper educational program for reskilling and getting these skills necessary to bring you ahead over your yes and over your competitors.
I would say I'm smart enough, but it would be, being smarter. So I won't. Okay. Okay. And so we know, of course, that as I mentioned, the previous year was dedicated to skills, which is very nice to see. And we have initiatives like ESCO and the European Skills Agenda, the Pact for Skills, which was the pillar to which SkillUp is based on. The pillar for the Pact for Skills was the reason that the call for SkillUp was announced. So, but does the EU actually support the member states to implement such initiatives and use them effectively in their everyday lives? Let's say.
Okay, yes. Two different things. Let's start with these terms and trying to explain it in a simple words, and then we will get if they are actually if EU actually helps countries in the implementation phase
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
of these
Yeah.
initiatives. Well, starting with the ESCO, which is provide a common European classification for skills, for occupations, and for qualifications. We would say that ESCO set the ground for a common and same terminology for all EU states that they should follow actually the same structure where when analyzing labor market needs, and then each state is responsible on how to reform the education system and trainings based on the demands that ESCO set. On the other hand, the European Skills Agenda, it's a tool that sets the overall strategy of the EU, and it refers mostly on lifelong learning, reducing skill gaps, and helping workers actually to adapt to the digital and green transitions. And last but not least, Pact for Skills brings governments, employers, training providers, policymaker all in one place, trying to develop a very strong partnership, and then all together it's one with their own expertise to invest in skills development. And our focus, as our audience already know, in SkillUp is ICT sector. And
Well, it has been, but we try to diversify. But yeah,
yes,
but
and we
yeah,
aim to expand it in tourism and in skills related to green
yeah,
transition as well.
yeah, exactly. Okay, and so we see that all three are important to create collaboration. So we could say that a system that utilized all three would be beneficial for the member states.
Yeah, the problem here is that more and more new initiatives are coming, but we not have the time or the purpose, I don't know, to s- not to invest, but to explore the existing
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
initiatives. We
Yeah,
should focus on the implementation and proper implementation of those initiatives in action.
yeah, sure. And there's always the resistance to change by
Exactly.
executives. And okay, so okay, let's move on to a more technical side because a policy is a policy. I mean, usually it's a suggestion that you need to do this, but to actually do this, we usually need some kind of methodologies and tools. And so, how can and we know before I ask the question, we know that the power of today is data. So, how can data-driven approaches, mainly AI tools, for example, can they help policymakers detect emerging, apart from skill needs, emerging skill needs? For example, to be able to strategically say that this skill will be important in the future. So I should plan ahead and do this. So how can these approaches help us in better planning?
Okay, yeah. Let's set it clear now and say that data-driven tools actually help policymakers to understand what their labor market needs right now. instead of waiting and for delays and officially reporting receives when it might be too late to take some
Yes,
decisions,
exactly, exactly.
to take action. For example, job advert analytics. So which skills employers mostly asked for and which jobs are growing or they're going to decline.
Yeah, yeah,
While we also have the last years the use of AI and the AI-based methods like HCV and CODA.
yeah. LLMs in general.
Exactly. Which is are again make it easier for policymakers to spot patterns in early stages, so they will finally l- help them to lead in emerging skills and occupations before they turn into shortages.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So the point here is to identify the data in real time rather than waiting for the annual report at the end of the year
Yeah, exactly.
if you want to be ahead. Uh,
Of the
and
competition.
yes, exactly again. Or if you want to identify at the very early stage these upcoming skills
Mm-hmm.
and jobs that will require skilled staff uh, to get this job properly. And because this is important, we will discuss also later
Yeah.
on that,
Mm-hmm.
because it's very important to inform also policymakers and then policymakers to take action with some specific training programs.
Yeah, exactly. And as we say in management, be proactive rather than reactive is the primary principle of management. So, okay, so you mentioned training and education, and that was a nice transition. So, yeah, what are the biggest challenges that the EU faces when trying to shorten the gap and align education with the labor market, which is usually a difficult thing? So, what's your insights on this?
Well, in my point of view, one of the biggest challenges is that education and training systems in general often move slower than the labor market
Yeah,
demands.
unfortunately.
Okay. So, for example, we have some new jobs and technologies that appear quickly, while at the same time, the curricula developed and provided by the training centers uh, to cover these skills are taking slow.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
then when they are finally finalized, developed, and ready for use, sometimes they are outdated.
Yeah, they're still behind.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and we have again to start the procedure again
Mm-hmm,
from scratch.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Also, another difficulty is the limited coordination between schools, training bodies, and public authorities. That, as I mentioned before, it's one of them. Most of the cases act independently, and they are not all in the same
Yeah,
line and
yeah,
on
yeah.
the same pace.
Exactly. There's no standardized a standardized method of designing some training, which would help the
Exactly,
process. Yeah.
exactly. So we see that a project like SkillUp can have a key role in this and tackling these challenges by offering actually real-time evidence on skill needs, so that training and policy decision can stay aligned with what the labor market truly demands right now.
Yeah,
Okay,
and there's of course the point of digital readiness, because some
exactly,
many countries need to be all countries need to be digitally literate and teach the citizens
exactly.
primary digital skills. Okay, so speaking of digital skills, and because you have mentioned these two buzzwords in previous questions, so how will how can these mega trends, let's call them, such as digital transition, the green transition, AI, like LLMs, how can they reshape the skill priorities of several sectors in the EU?
Well, first of all, we all agree that mega trends are already reshaping the skills that actually Europe needs.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
we can agree on that.
let's take the example of digital transition, which is nowadays is mandatory, let's say, and all job requires some digital literacy, as
Yeah,
you mentioned
yeah,
before.
of course.
Even the more high expert digital literacy like cybersecurity awareness or data handling skills,
Hmm.
or even something simpler.
Hmm.
And this is happening in all sectors, and it doesn't matter if we're talking in traditional sectors or not. It will happen in it's the same situation actually in tourism or in public administration.
Yeah, well, public administration in Greece is kind of behind on this, but yeah, let's not talk about it. Yeah.
And then we have the green transition that leads actually the sectors to adopt sustainable practices like energy efficient technologies, which will eventually create the demand for new roles and something that will lead in the new skills for people in renewable energy and in circular economy.
No, yeah, very important concept.
And of course, the use of AI that leads again
Yeah.
in a hundred of new skills
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for understanding AI or for the ethical use of data, for example.
Yeah, the ethical uses we have analyzed in other episodes that it's very, very, very important to be able to ethically analyze data and get insight. So if we combine all these, we can say that the Europe will remain competitive ahead of the competition, as we have said multiple times.
Hopefully.
Okay, so just a final question to more give a hopeful message. So, if you could change one thing about the way that Europe approaches skills development, upskilling, reskilling today, what would it be? What would this message be? What would this
Okay,
change be?
that's a bit tough question.
Yeah, I know.
I'll try to.
Yeah, these are the best questions.
Yeah, okay. I'll make a suggestion that it says that we should try, as I mentioned before, instead of focusing on creating new systems and frameworks, to stay focused and make it work the existing ones.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
frameworks and the initiatives have already developed should be in one place and trying to work together. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
So, because we know that Europe has already some strong initiatives, platforms, and strategies
Hmm. Hmm.
related to skills, but the real challenge it comes in the implementation phase
Yeah, I
of
you,
these actions.
you often see that. I mean, they usually Europe announces some very promising initiatives, frameworks, but typically they fizzle out because there is no clear um, roadmap on how to implement them. So this is where they usually die off. And that's a pity.
In my point of view, this could be one solution to tackle this problem by engaging policymakers from scratch
Hmm.
rather than
Hmm.
inform them at the end of an initiative and tell them, okay, look what we did here. Okay,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, because that's how you get more targeted
exactly.
programs.
Bring them in the table in advance at the beginning of when we start the initiative, and together you should find a way on how this tool, for example, that we developing here should be implemented in the action.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
you should be able to communicate and cooperate more easily with the labor market, the education, via the expert opinion of policymakers. Of course, I mean this would
Exactly,
this would help.
exactly. It will be easier than when you will bring an innovative, let's say, solution into the market. It will be easier for you. You'll know the market trend. You'll know your customers, for example,
Yeah, and you will have
the stakeholders in our case, of course.
exactly, and you have a practical alignment between the training and job demands, and reduce the skill gap, and of course reduce the bureaucracy and administrative
Exactly, exactly.
complexity. Okay, so Dionys, thank you very much. This was very interesting discussion. Glad I had you with me.
Thank you for your invitation. Once again, uh, you should stay updated.
Yeah, I will try. I will
We
try.
are now proceeding with bringing our public bodies and stakeholders into the action to start piloting the platform when it's ready.
Yeah,
So it will be very interesting to see how it will works, the feedback we will receive from them,
yeah. I'm looking forward
because they are very
to.
relevant on what we are doing because they do it the last years.
Yeah, no, of course.
So they will provide us very valuable feedback on that.
No, I'm looking forward to see the platform in practice and in action, and see the feedback on
You
your
will
pilot.
very soon.
Yeah, looking forward. So this has been another episode of the Lounge Lab, the official podcast for the Skilla project, and stay tuned for more.